Have Just Stop Oil stunts gone too far? Welcome to Mark and Pete. Now, here's a thought.
Pillars of strength. Within these pillars of ancient stone, a structure called Stonehenge. For those who blight the celestial zone, the gods will seek revenge. Yes. Well, as we've seen, yes, Just Stop Oil have continued their campaign to another level. This time, they sprayed orange powder paint on the historic figures and structures of Stonehenge, based in Salisbury, Wiltshire. Now, this move comes just before the celebration of the summer solstice, which marked the 5,000-year-old landmark. Now, Wiltshire police have confirmed that people have been arrested on suspicion of damaging the ancient monument. What's more important is that many people have been extremely upset by this. Locals, Druids, in fact, and many others. In fact, Rishi Sunak condemned the incident as a disgraceful act of vandalism. And Sir Keir Starmer has said that the damage was outrageous and described Just Stop Oil as pathetic. Well, Clergyman Pete, I ask you, the Stonehenge itself is a UNESCO World Heritage Site, and then for many also seen as a religious one. Has Just Stop Oil gone too far?
Well, gone too far, yes, and missed the mark, I would say, in that, look, Stonehenge has a feature about it that is quite apparent and everyone notices, and that is it doesn't use any oil. And I think it's not that it's well, it is that you've attacked a site which has been around for so long, so doing something that could damage it, likely it won't, and you can remove the paint from it, but we don't know that. They don't know that when they put the paint on, what effect putting paint on stone is going to have. I mean, perhaps they didn't even occur to them. If you with ancient buildings, you know, I'm a vicar of a church and I've got churches with different stones in them. There's certain paints you can't put on certain stone because it makes it crumble. So
they claimed that it was orange powder paint made of corn flour and that it would wash off with rain. But nevertheless, it could still
well, that's an
damage.
Interesting claim, but it could wash off with the rain with bits of the rock. So and so ruin the surface. So you know, I'm not saying that they're definitely wrong, but you shouldn't do anything that could damage something that's not yours and is irrelevant to your point.
Correct.
I'll give you an example here. Just Stop Oil. They could have done something that stopped oil. I'm just saying. No.
Yep.
There has been an element of logic, twisted, but an element of logic to them stopping cars from traveling along roads, because cars actually do use oil, petrol being used in the internal combustion engine is what they're thinking of, so because it produces carbon dioxide, which they believe is producing global warming. That is their rationale, and not other reasons to stop oil, which you know, it's dirty, it's going to run out. Other reasons have been given, but that's the reason that they themselves, the organization Just Stop Oil, use. And so there's at least some sort of logic there. Not in fact, in actuality, if you keep cars idling, they actually are producing locally more of this fumes and carbon dioxide belching out as well. So then it's obviously, to people who know anything, to anyone who's driven a car, that they're not making the point that they think they're making. But however, that has more logic than something like a stone. Not only does it not have a car engine in it, I think that they don't move at all. Stones of Stonehenge.
Well, indeed, I don't, unless
it's one of
they
their
shuffle
features
around at night. Yeah. But look, the fact of the matter is, Stonehenge is seen as an ancient burial site as well. Many archaeologists have questioned what's the purpose of the site, but it also has a sacrilegious connotation. And when you start to defame or you start to damage things, and here's the thing, because to the point is that there is absolutely no association with the modern world with regard to Stonehenge. Now, what was interesting is that following on from that particular incident, there was incidents where campaigners then went on to spray private jets at airports with, again, orange paint. Now, you could argue that, okay, we're now in the modern world. Now a jet uses a lot of fuel, pumps out things and emissions into the atmosphere. Okay, but I think that the point that we're trying to make here is we know that Just Stop Oil has a cause. Their cause is for the planet to stop using carbon, primarily, obviously, oil. Now, oil-based products, as by the nature of it, are basically processed and refined in multiple ways. They affect everything from fuel, they help us to make plastics and many other things. Now, whether we like it or not, mankind has chosen to build its world around a carbon-based world.
Yes.
So in order to stop that, your entire infrastructure needs to change.
Yes.
Now, what's interesting is I don't think that there are many people who would dispute the fact that you don't want to damage the planet. And yet this transition, as we've all seen in recent times, to try and get to a net zero, a net carbon zero target is not a bad idea. But unfortunately, what we have is a very short timescale in order to transition. Scientifically, it's actually not possible to do that, to completely eliminate all your carbon footprint down to zero. But what I do think is that what Just Stop Oil are trying to do is a cause, but what they are doing is to, in order to get their message over, they started these stunts from walking around with orange hair, waving orange flags, etc. But now what they're doing is they're going to a situation where their stunts are potentially dangerous. And I think that's the point where they've almost lost the purpose of their original cause. Now, Pleasure and Pete, I was going to ask you, do you think, for the whole basis of this argument, that perhaps they need to rethink the way that they do this, as opposed to trying to damage historical structures or even religious places?
Yes, and I can.
Where do they need to draw the line?
Well, the thing is, I have, in a way, a similar experience in that for many years I've been part of a pressure group, a campaigning group called The Church. And we've been trying to convert people to Christianity and say, there's something terrible happening. You're heading for disaster. You're going to hell. You need to avoid this fire. You're going to be burnt. It's absolutely terrifying what people are heading for. Judgment from the living God. And yet, if you go on and on about it and use the techniques that Just Stop Oil are using, you end up turning people off. People say, no, you're boring me. No, you're being judgmental. And they end up ignoring your message. You have to think of other ways, positive ways. Get people to join in with you in things that are enjoyable and then spread the message. Yeah. And so just taking that experience and applying to Just Stop Oil first, I don't agree. And Mark and Pete, as a show, we don't agree with the basic premise of Just Stop Oil, what they're claiming. But if it were true that the Earth's effectively on fire and it's going to be soon, I don't know, they seem to vary on what the number of years is, but say 10 to 20 years' time, there'll be millions of people killed by global warming. Now, if this is true, if that were true, then extreme measures, in some way are justified. If it were true, but it's counterproductive doing things that turn people off.
That's right.
Say, well, it's very, very important. Yes, it's very important, but you're having the opposite effect, and it's irrelevant. So, where is the line you would draw? Well, I think they should do a bit more research to see, find out that they're not in fact correct about the speed of global warming. I just don't think that's true. But, and I don't think. You'd be hard pressed to find a serious climate scientist even who agree with them. But they that's by the way. Say, assuming that was true, what would you do? Well, twist it round to something positive. The limit is as soon as it becomes negative, so it's turning people off. You get noticed, but you're noticed for being idiots. That's the way you're perceived if you do something that just seems crazy, like throwing paint over Stonehenge to protest about stopping oil. I was in centre of Cambridge on Saturday, and the Just Stop Oil activists had just daubed paint over King's College, Cambridge, an ancient building from the time when people didn't use oil. It just didn't make sense. Instead, I'll just take an experience that I had from a little village near Cambridge, where to attract people to the village fete, they had vintage cars there, and people were going and looking at the cars, massive gas-guzzling cars, and there were demonstrations of them. What if, because they seem to have plenty of funding, the Just Stop Oil organization, what if they put it into a massive electric car rally? And electric cars have been around a long time.
Electric orange car.
Yes, a massive. They could have the Just Stop Oil car, but you could have vintage electric cars as well as the modern ones. People would be fascinated because some of them are really fascinating bits of work from, the Jay Leno's Garage show, which is also a YouTube channel. Features electric cars for going around town, which are now 100 years old. It's been around for that long, and you could do other positive events. I was just thinking about it as we talked about this topic, and I thought, why not do something to do with the ocean, with the sea, because you have ocean liners using vast amounts of oil and occasionally carrying vast amounts of oil and spilling them, but that's another environmental matter. But what if you had a sailing race and a big sailing ship, an orange one, as you say, big positive things, not just doing this horrible negative stuff. Oh, we hate you and you're doing something silly. You're doing something positive, enjoyable. Wow, this future sounds good. That's what they need to do.
And I think that's the point, isn't it? It's trying to show what the future would look like, as opposed to it being negative and trying to be destructive and almost on the verge of being terrorist. But I do agree that there are ideas that people could take to get people's attention, show what society will look like, whether that be through, more eco-friendly vehicles or activities, as you say. Sailing is definitely, without any doubt, certainly using the wind and using hydro, etc., is a good and positive thing. There are many other things like that, but I think that this is where I think that many people have reached the point where has that message been lost about damaging the planet because of the stunts that are taking place. Maybe I wonder what Just Stop Oil think. Maybe should they now rethink their strategy and perhaps get some other people more on board with them? I'd love to hear what they would have to say, and maybe come along to the Mark and Pete show.
Yes, well, if anyone wants to come in from Just Stop Oil, I know that most of our listeners are, look, from our current statistics, in America and Singapore, so maybe you wouldn't be able to come in person, but we can deal with it online, wherever you are. Be interesting to hear from you, and also give me details of that electric car rally. I'd be very interested to attend. But that's it from Mark and Pete for this week. Thanks very much for listening. Catch you next time.